Hello, welcome to Australian Book Travels and welcome to the Victorian country town of Yandoit. We are just a few kilometres south of last week's town of Clydesdale, where we stayed the night. We're now in Yandoit. We have just spoken to a local, an elderly gentleman who was lovely and gave us, he's been in this area all of his life, and told us that Yandoit was quite a big community when he was younger. It is now spread out and quite sort of scattered. The remaining buildings of the town are quite scattered. We've started you here, which is the Uniting Church. I'll just go behind the camera and let you have a look. This is the Uniting Church, which is on a hill in Yandoit and overlooks the town, which is through those trees and down the hill. I'm just turning the microphone around so that you can hear me. I beg your pardon, I think I've just stuck my finger in front of the camera. Okay, so we'll start here. Just because there is a high street in Yandoit, but Tom, the local, was telling us that it's quite scattered. We do have to drive around to get the full scale of what the town used to be. There's not really a town anymore. There is this church and obviously the buildings, but none of them are actually functioning. I think he said the last fully functioning building of the town or business was the general store, which ceased operation approximately 20 years ago and was recently sold as a private residence, or for a private residence. So you can see the bush here. This is all bushland, and then this is the Uniting Church. So Tom was telling us that when he was younger, this area people still used horse and buggy. There's also a lavender farm, which was once that's much further down, which is closed at the moment, so we can't visit. But that was also a dairy, Swiss Italian dairy farm. So it was heavily the Swiss Italian settlement, which I'm sure you will see is evident when we view the buildings. Okay, we'll get in the car now and travel and around and just see some of the old town. There is a school that is still in operation. It's very small, but we'll have a look at the other buildings that are no longer in operation. Yandoit is located approximately 130 kilometres northwest of Melbourne and 60 kilometres southwest of Bendigo. It has a population of approximately 160, with an average yearly rainfall of about 400 millimetres. It is located in the local government area of the Hepburn Shire Council. First settled by Captain John Hepburn, it is thought that the naming of the town derived from the Aboriginal Yandoit, meaning travel. Alluvial gold was discovered in the area in 1854, attracting over 5,000 prospectors. By 1858, the gold had all but run out, and deep lead mining around the town had begun. Yandoit was proclaimed a township by 1885. After the gold rush, at a population of approximately 1,000, Yandoit had 4 hotels, 4 churches, a school, the Mechanics Institute, a general store, vineyards, orchards, and agricultural production. Today, Yandoit is a peaceful hamlet, nestled amongst the surrounding hills, where memories of its once successful and bustling European past are to be found in the relics of its buildings, landscape, and descendants of its original settlers. To fully appreciate and embrace its natural beauty, serene atmosphere, and its history, it is worth a day's trip from Melbourne to picnic and walk around the long winding streets, talking to locals and discovering not what remains of Yandoit, but what once was. Italian. We just had to stop on this property as we were driving along. The lavender underneath the row of cypress trees. If that does not tell us that this was once or still is of Italian heritage, I don't know what will. And just a little further along here, I may just walk down here actually. Righto, this appears to be the recreation reserve, where possibly not much recreation is to be had, apart from the occasional bout of tennis. There are public conveniences here. I'm thinking if we just walk along this little driveway, it may just be an open field. It's not looking really too much like a field, to be honest. It does say, oh, Rosella's. That was good timing. So this is the recreation reserve, apparently, as according to the maps. Sadly, I think it's just a bit of a play area, not really, not for football or any other type of recreation. There's a private house over there, public conveniences there, and then this is it. This is the recreation reserve. I thought we were going to see, unless we've made a mistake on the map, which we will gladly rectify on camera if that is the case, but according to the map, this is the recreation reserve. So that is where we began with the recreation reserve, but what I really wanted to show you is that our Australian wattle is now blossoming, normally meeting the end of winter, and we're coming into spring. You can see all the yellow large shrubs or small trees there. That's our iconic Australian wattle. This is the church on the hill that we could see from the main street or high street earlier, but it is a private residence, so I won't get too much closer. Now, according to Tom, there were 4 churches in Yandoit, which indicates a sizable town in its time. 3 of those churches are now private residence, and 1 is still working, which is the first one we saw. The Uniting Church is. And just a little further up the road from the relics of former homes of the Swiss-Italian community in Yandoit, I'm going to have to try and run up this little slope. This is going to be interesting, everyone. I hope I don't jolt you too much. There we go. And we have found what looks to be an old cellar. Now that's interesting because it's, for all intents and purposes, there is not a home here. And that really looks, it's been built into the land, which would clearly have been used to place preserves and things, or wine. Very interesting. It's tiny, so it's not a home, and there is no chimney, so it's definitely not a home or a smokehouse. It's just on the side of the road, on private property, but on the side of the road. Now, because this is private property, it is difficult to film for you. I'm hoping you can see it well enough. A little further back on the road in the car, it was easier to see, but that is clearly a barn, and may have had it may have been an original smokehouse for the Italian making of sausages. So that's that. And then if we walk, there is just around this hill here, this property has an olive grove as well. But just around the corner here, if we keep walking on this road, there seems to be quite right in front of us, right in the middle of the screen, there is a 2-storey historic home and barn in stone. Was clearly again built by the Swiss Italian community. Oh, okay, now this one's not stone, but it is weatherboard, and that's probably, well, it may be old, but it looks more to be in the fashion of the 50s. Perhaps, oh no, perhaps not. There are some elements that may... Sorry, that car just went past. That may show it's a bit older. Just the extension at the side there looks like 1950s, but that may well have been from the 1880s or something. And we go over the bridge, and this is the 2-storey property that we saw. That is big. That is a very big property. Let's take a walk up there, see if we can get a little bit closer to show you what it's all about. Just as we were about to give up and continue on to another town for next week's travel, we came across this very close to the road, so we can video it for you. It looks to be derelict, so nobody's living in it. But this just shows you, I'm wondering if you can see the how steep it is, but very, very reminiscent of that Swiss Italian look and landscape. Absolutely beautiful. The workmanship in the stone walls, and then there's that building, and then there is a little house, but I'm positive nobody's living in it. It does look derelict, although the hedge is well maintained. So that's a little bit of a giveaway that someone's looking after it. That is beautifully maintained hedge. And then, you can see, I'm hoping you can see, I haven't got the muffler on the microphone, so it's probably going to be windy. But if you can see the hills there, they're almost vertical. Okay, let's go on to the next section of road on our way to the next town, and if we are able to video any more of these beautiful buildings for you, we will do that. This is a never-ending display now. We seem to have come to a pocket where all of the stone homes are. Look at that. Is that not one of the most beautiful buildings you've ever seen? I would say, we have a dog here. It is a private residence. That's the barn, and then there is a beautiful cottage here being lived in, so we do have to be careful. But how beautiful is that, with the old barn beside it, possibly a stable, and then the old cottage That is just beautiful. Oh, no wonder they, well, I mean, as I say, it is reminiscent of the Swiss-Italian style, and they were a prevalent community here, and no wonder. I mean, the hills are definitely European in look, and of course they've been able to quarry the stone and make these beautiful buildings. I mean, it's just gorgeous. Absolutely. Look, there's even a little... Now, there you go. That would be, I'm fairly sure, there's 1874 it has on that, and that would no doubt be a cellar. So that was built in 1874. Absolutely beautiful. And beautifully maintained as well. So credit to the people who currently own it. They've obviously renovated it and are maintaining it. They have respect for it. So you could see here the valleys, the undulation of the landscape. Oh, it's just stunning. I don't know if it's coming across in the video, but the sun shining on the hills and reflecting off the trees. Oh, it's breathtaking. Absolutely breathtaking. So for that little, very long high street with a lot of gums and beautiful farmland, and then you drive perhaps 2 kilometres up the road, same town. This is still Yandoit, but it's just breathtaking, absolutely beautiful. And you can see that's the back there of the cottage, a rather large cottage. It looks as though at the back it could be 2-storey, and then it has a shed in the distance there right on the hill. Absolutely beautiful. Wow. I'll just take you down this road. We'll just go down the road. Ah, yes. So it just continues on. Absolutely stunning. And if you can see there, if it's evident in the video, there is a snaking around of trees right at the bottom of the hill. That's the creek. So a perfect location for a new settlement or any settlement. It has water, fresh water, protection of the hills, the ability to grow wine, volcanic topsoil, volcanic ground, and perhaps, I'm not sure, if you can see around about 2/3 the way up the hill, there looks to be sort of a massive, or there's two almost parallel lines. That's stone walls. So around here we have noticed they have, and I think I filmed some for you, they separate their paddocks with stone walls, which is unusual in Australia, mainly because the farming areas don't have a lot of rock. So they don't have a lot of stone. So of course they just fence them with wire or hedges. Hedging is not as big over here as it is in Europe and England. But in communities like this, where there is a lot of rock, there you do find the paddocks are delineated by stone walls. I don't know if you can see it right up on the ridge. I'm not sure if I'm pointing, but around just there somewhere, that's all stone wall. It's absolutely stunning. And this is flatland here in front. Wow. Oh, and, I hope you can see this, everyone. Just past this tree here, just to the left of it, you may be able to see another derelict stone building. I'm hoping you can see it's just almost at the bottom of that hill, but not quite. And this is what this area is. It's scattered with all of these beautiful stone buildings that were usually, we have been told, they were homes. Some of them would have been barns. But it was clearly a big town. There's no doubt about that. That's evident now more than when we first began our journey. Okay, one more road to go down, and because we believe that we've seen some other beautiful buildings, and then we shall move on and have to leave you for today. Apologies everyone, just as I turned round, I realised that this particular barn building has a bell tower. I'm sure you can all see that. So that clearly has some sort of significant history. It may be a bell for calling in the workers for lunch or dinner, but that's definitely a bell tower. Or, now I'm being definite about that, but that may not be. It may be the top of a chimney. Because it's a private property, I can't access the other side of it. But it's either a bell tower. My first impression was a bell tower, but I can see it's attached to that building. So it may be a chimney with a chimney top on it. Anyway, another point of interest for us. We may have to see if we can find the history of that. For those of you not in Australia, I'm not sure if you can see them there. They are well hidden. There's movement, a kangaroo, and one behind him, or her. Actually, I think they're both males. And I saw a beautiful rosella just in this tree, so I wanted to show you. The colours are magnificent. Oh no, he's going to fly off down the road. I don't know if you can see that. I just wanted to show you those. There were 3 large male kangaroos, and they were quite close to the road. But of course, as soon as you get anywhere near them, they like to scatter. There is an enclave of stone homes. This is one of them with a weatherboard front. And then there's this tiny home here that's weatherboard, but with a stone relic. Now that may be a fireplace from an old stone home. And then if you, to the left of that, if you have a look, there's citrus fruit. And on the hill we see a winery and the cypress trees and the row there of olive trees. Very, very Italian, very European. In fact, if I walk along, that's a lucerne tree just here, good for foraging and great drought resistant, drought tolerant. I'm not too sure if you can see it in this camera, in this footage, but all along the row here there are olive trees, and you can see the tall, upright cypress. That's very European. And of course, we have some jonquils, which is lovely. And then on this side, again, we have, you won't be able to see them, but in the distance there are, again, remnants of old stone buildings. And just, again, a little further down the road from the citrus trees and cypress, the upright cypress, we have another beautiful cottage sitting right up off the road. Absolutely beautiful. And lived in. Surrounded by some olive trees. Look at that. That is beautiful. Wow. And I think on the left of that veranda, That looks to me like a wisteria vine. So in spring, if that is still viable, that would be just abundant with wisteria flowers. So we come further down here and there's some more stone buildings. We're actually walking back down to where we crossed over the bridge and there was the 2-storey stone house with all of the stone outbuildings. So that's just in the distance is the intersection. So we've effectively done a loop, and honestly this is a massive area for a town, absolutely huge. It would have to be quite a few kilometres for a town. It would easily be around 10 kilometres. Oh, and we have another old property here, right on at the bottom of the hill, on the downside of the road. Oh wow, someone's doing some work there. But here is the building I wanted to show you. This is clearly a barn, or was a barn. Wow. Oh my goodness. I always wonder, and I have said this before in other videos as we're travelling around, I always wonder, who has worked in these buildings or lived in them, or, dog, or who has what have they seen? What have these buildings seen? They're just unbelievable. And that's a really big shed there. That is huge. And we have the old wagon just there. Oh, I'm going to have to turn off the camera because we have a dog. Just one moment, I'll have to deal with that first. So I was just talking to this lady here. They've only owned the home for a year. This was an Italian's family home, and the front section that you can see was built in 1857. They had 11 children in this home, in 3 rooms, and I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's a little green door in the loft. And what the children would do is use a stepladder to get up into the loft and go to bed. 11 children in the loft at night, and they would access that green door to their bedroom from the outside by stepladder. The second part of the house, which you can see running this way, where are we? That way, is 1874, and this little front bit is 1857. It apparently owned all of the land around here, and this building that we just walked past was the stable block for this house. And this was the dairy, which has now been turned into, it was turned into a cottage, and it's now being renovated. So that was the dairy, and the 2-storey property that we walked past, that was a home that one of the grandchildren to this Italian family lived up until 6 years ago. So there's a little bit of history that it always is valuable to speak to people who live in the homes or who have been in the area a long time, because you get all that information. We would not have known that this particular house owned all of this. It had a vineyard, a dairy, and they did crop. They had wheat apparently, and that was the stable for that house. Absolutely stunning. They do get snow here, we are told. So again, reminiscent of Europe. very European landscape and climate. And I will show you a little bit further on. We have already walked past I'll just keep giving you the view of that because I think that is absolutely beautiful. We have walked past what was the schoolhouse, but I did not know it was a schoolhouse until I spoke to the lovely owner of the house in front of us. So I will just show you the old school room again. This building in front of us that I said earlier I thought may have had a 1950s addition, the older section, which is the front section of the house, was a schoolroom. And the lovely lady we were just talking to informed us that it had been moved to this location. That's why it's weatherboard. But that was the old schoolroom that had been moved for this part of Yandoit, which is incredible. It has a few schools as well, and in completely different locations. Likely, look, I'm really guessing here, but probably at least 5 kilometres away from each other. And this is the view. We've done the loop. This is the home that we were looking at earlier with the multiple outbuildings and the 2-storey. So I think that's it for Yandoit, everyone. It's we have to move on to the next location to film for you next week. Do stay tuned. There are many more beautiful places to visit in Australia. We haven't seen a library. Oh, we did see the Mechanics Library, didn't we? But we weren't able to access that. Well, we haven't seen any other street-free libraries or bookshops here, but that doesn't matter. Australia has a lot more to offer than just bookshops and libraries. So until next week, happy reading, safe travels, and we shall see you in the next book recommendation video or the next travel video. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.